Good morning. Welcome to Temple Baptist Church virtual service. I was counting up. We've been doing this now almost 6 months since the middle of March, when the COVID crisis swept across the United States, and many groups, many churches decided to be respectful of the needs of the larger community and back away from public meetings. We've been doing this virtual service, providing a chance to connect with those who want to tune in to what we're doing here on our YouTube channel and with our YouTube playlist. Our virtual service has gone through some changes, and one of the best changes is that we are now meeting as a church together on Sunday morning. We meet on our lawn just outside my office, not far away here, and we meet at 10:30 on Sunday morning. You can join us. We do that because according to almost everything we read, outside meetings are safer health-wise for people, and we enjoy it also. We have been meeting together now since the first Sunday of June, so almost 2 months, and we invite you to join us. You're welcome to come. We meet at 10:30 on Sunday morning. Our service is over by 11:30. We would be glad for you to walk in and be a part of what we do together. Now, because of that, our virtual service that I'm introducing this morning has taken a little different flavor. Instead of me recording a message here in my office with this background, we have been recording the message that I give outside and posting that here on our YouTube channel. We've also started to have a podcast of the messages. We have connected with a podcast server, and we're recording those messages, and then we cut out the sermon or the message that I give, and we make that available as a podcast. There's no video to the podcast, but you can listen to it. And we're hoping that the podcast is something we can continue to do even after we begin to have a more normal kind of approach to our Sunday worship times. So thank you for joining us this morning on our YouTube virtual service. And as we continue together, if you see the connection with our morning worship service and my sermon, then you'll continue that. If you happen to join this podcast, this YouTube channel playlist before the sermon is recorded and posted, then you'll have to come back later to view the message. I have been preaching this month back through the book of Romans chapter 12, which actually I began last fall before our world sort of turned upside down. And we have been talking about love. I want to read verses from Romans 12 that relate to love. And for the last 3 weeks, 2 weeks ago, last week, and now this Sunday, I have been pulling from these verses things that will help us understand, first of all, how to love God, because loving God is an essential in our life. Jesus tells us that it's the most important command. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind, all your strength. And in Romans 12, in these verses about love, Paul, the writer, gives us some very important pictures of what loving God looks like, even how to put into practice loving God. He also tells us how to love each other in the church, in the Christian family. Last Sunday, I used a couple verses or a couple words from these verses where Paul says we should love each other with a brotherly love, Philadelphia, and then love each other with a family love, a storge kind of love. Those are Greek words that were in the original. And I suggested last Sunday in my message that those two ideas, brotherly love, or maybe we could say friendship love, and family love, are to be characteristic of the kind of love we have in the Christian family together. And I talked about things in these verses that describe Christian love for one another. Today, in my message in our worship service on the lawn, I want to talk about these verses that describe how we should love our enemies. Have you thought about that? Loving enemies? I want to expand and describe these verses and how they help us understand what it looks like to love our enemies. Well, let me read these verses, and I want you to listen for descriptions of loving God, of loving one another in the family of God, and loving those outsiders that may not be a part of our family, in fact, could even be considered enemies. Listen to both or all three kinds of love. Love must be sincere. Hate what is evil. Cling to what is good. Be devoted to one another in brotherly love. Honor one another above yourselves. Never be lacking in zeal, but keep your spiritual fervor, serving the Lord. Be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, faithful in prayer. Share with God's people who are in need. Practice hospitality. Bless those who persecute you. Bless and do not curse. Rejoice with those who rejoice. Mourn with those who mourn. Live in harmony with one another. Do not be proud, but willing to associate with people of low position. Do not be conceited. Do not repay anyone evil for evil. Be careful to do what is right in the eyes of everybody. If it's possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. Do not take revenge, my friends, but leave room for God's wrath, for it's written, it is mine to avenge, I will repay, says the Lord. On the contrary, if your enemy is hungry, feed him. If he is thirsty, give him something to drink. If in doing this, you will heap burning coals on his head. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. Those verses are chock full of love. And we've been thinking about it together, and we'll continue to do that in our time this morning. Well, each week I've also taken time to put on our YouTube playlist a song that we'll do in our worship together. And the song Lead Me to the Cross is one that we will sing together when we gather this morning. I'm going to put it up here on our playlist. And then after that, as soon as my message is recorded and uploaded, it'll be added to the YouTube playlist. Thank you for being a part of our virtual service today. May God use His Word to help all of us understand better how to love even our enemies.